Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 77 of the Unknown Comics podcast. I'm Brandon. That's Tanner. Even further over Tanner is Darren. And when I say further, lots further, technically lots further that way. That would be east.
I feel like you're pointing in the right direction.
Yeah. So coming to us live from Tampa Bay, where the
y'all are that way for me.
That's meta. So I need to turn it. I need to flip the double box around, is what you're saying. So that way we're properly aligned with each other. All right, well, guys, thank you for joining me tonight for the podcast. Almost had all four of us.
Almost.
So close, but Chris's kids had ballet tonight, so he couldn't be with us. So that is a goal of mine, and I know we're going into con season, and it's going to be really hard to do. We're going to get all four of us back in a room soon.
So May should actually be possible because we don't have any shows in May.
When's Vegas?
Next week.
So Vegas is next week. Because Dallas is until June, right?
Yeah, the only thing I have a Matchbox 20 concert that I have to fly to California for.
You are
May
literally
25th.
flying. You're flying across the country to go see Matchbox 20.
Yes, those tickets have been bought since 2020.
Oh my god!
Dadgummit, I'm going to. That concert has been moved so many times.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
I did that with Rammstein. I finally just got a refund on my tickets. I was like,
we
this is ridiculous.
we were going to go see a concert in Denver before that all went down, and they refunded ours. They ended up coming to the band we were going to go see in Denver came to Lubbock, so we saw them there. We're actually talking about going because the Smashing Pumpkins are going to be in Albuquerque and Dallas within a couple of days of each other.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And so we're looking at either going to Albuquerque. Albuquerque is actually an outdoor event, but it's in August.
Yeah.
And so I
gross.
don't know about that one yet.
We're going.
It's in the evening, and Albuquerque's a dry climate, so typically they're a lot like us, where when the sun goes down, it typically gets kind of pleasant.
We're going to Sleep Token in September in Oklahoma City.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Their North American tour sold out in 2 hours after opening tickets. So.
All right, well, I'm sure.
Well, when you only have 12 chairs, because no one's heard of you.
When you're playing in somebody's backyard. Backyard arena.
Your mom's basement doesn't count as sold out.
Oh my gosh.
Well, find out. Like, I'm going all the way to Fresno to watch Matchbox 20. They're in Oklahoma City and Dallas within the next 2 months as well.
Yeah.
So I could have just watched them there.
Well, but when
because Chris is going to Oklahoma City to watch them.
You can just go watch them again. Just follow them across the country.
Be a groupie.
They are my favorite band all time.
They are your favorite band. I do know that, and that's why I give you hell about them all the time. Because it's easy.
It's all right.
You can't name my favorite band. The reason being is I don't know that I have a favorite band. I can't land like I have like my core group of bands, but at any one given time, I couldn't tell you who my favorite is.
I have a favorite band for every mood.
Right.
It's a genre.
Matchbox 20, Casting Crowns. Can't really think of who else I'd put up there in my top favorites. So.
Let's see.
All right.
You like country?
Oh yeah. I found out Alabama is playing next week in Tampa, and then I found out that that's the day I leave for Vegas, and I got very sad.
I can't believe Alabama. They're still alive.
It's the reunion. I know they're probably not all originals.
Yeah, probably not.
They were old when we were kids.
That's true. Or relative to us. They were probably in their 30s or 40s.
It's like ZZ Top still touring. I'm like, wait, they were
early.
already 1,000 years old in 90.
The freaking Rolling Stones still.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Apparently drugs from the 60s just preserved you. You either died young.
Tells you.
You either died young like Jimi Hendrix or you lived forever like Keith Richards. There was no middle ground. So,
well, there was.
Yeah.
You just became obscure and no one remembers you.
There you go. Darren, what all exclusives do we have coming out next week? Normally Chris does this, and I totally didn't prep for it. I know we've got Nathan's Rogue Gambit coming out within the next week.
We've got. Hold on, let me look. We've got Savage Gambit number 4, Rogue Gambit number 4, which is a gorgeous Savage Land Rogue.
Yep, that Nathan did.
We have X-Men number 23, which is a Jubilee cover.
I will say this about Jubilee, which the public has not seen it yet, but her arm looks broken. And once you see it, you'll know.
Then we have an awesome Spider-Man 26 cover by Carrie Andrews.
Carrie.
Which has got Todd McFarlane all over it.
That's you went back to Jubilee.
It's like the Games Workshop potato photos.
Yeah, so Darren already spoiled this one, but if you want to see these covers, every Friday I release This Week at Unknown on our YouTube channel. Darren's just spoiling my entire video. Thanks.
That's fine.
But anyway, This Week at Unknown, we show off all the exclusives. You're just not gonna stop, are you? All the exclusives. The audio listeners have no clue what you just did, so that's a good thing. This Week at Unknown, YouTube Fridays, check it out. And then so we've got not this weekend, of course, because Darren's actually here. Are you allowed to be showing all this stuff off?
I can do anything I want.
No, you can't. Not this week, but next is Amazing Las Vegas, right?
Yes, next week. Yep.
And then our next big con is the first weekend in June that is Dallas.
So we have a second weekend in Dallas is June. Second weekend in June is Dallas, and then the third weekend is Heroes.
Yeah,
I'm having a rough. It's been a while. So the way the cons are currently lined out, we have Dallas the second weekend in June, Heroes Con the third weekend in June. We have San Diego Comic Con in July. I'll probably end up doing Boston in August. And then we have Uncanny Experience in September.
Yep.
And then New York Comic Con in October.
October again. Yep.
That kind of lines out the rest of the year for us. Yeah. There may be some more added, but we'll see.
Cool. And do we have any sales going on right now? You know?
Nope. Next, the next sale we're going to have is when the new solicits go up. Okay. We launched the 35% off website code, so you can order July books with a discount.
Gotcha. Well, Darren, we'll start with you. What have you been into this week?
I've watched a lot of Smallville. Like I've watched like almost 2 seasons of Smallville this week.
Had you watched all of it before?
And I got through like season 5 last time I watched it, but it was still like season 5 was like the newest season out at the time. So it was a long time ago. And then with summer, all the TV shows take a break, so I'm just finding new things to watch, preparing for the summer. And so I started watching Star Wars Rebels after Star Wars Celebration because there's a lot of characters that I need to learn about.
Yeah, if you're gonna watch Ahsoka, that is quite key, I think.
Well, I guess Zeb showed up in Mandalorian. I'm not that far. I'm only 2 episodes into the season 3, so I think Chopper showed up too, right? Or is it just
yeah, you see Chopper in the Ahsoka trailer.
Okay.
Yeah, we will see him.
So I started Star Wars Rebels, probably 13 episodes into season 1.
Good.
So
Rebels is it got a lot of crap when it first came out because it came out right after Disney got the rights, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's Disney-fied Star Wars," because the characters had their kind of unique style. It didn't look like Clone Wars did, was a little bit different, but story-wise, like. It was really good. It told a lot of really good stories and it really, I mean, I guess it was kid facing, because it was on like Disney XD and stuff like that, but it it felt like a proper Star Wars story,
Mhm.
and I think it holds up. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed it. My kids watch it with me, and last night we watched about 7 episodes of Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur. A very odd cartoon.
Kind of like those Cartoon Network cartoons that are coming out now that are
Oh, yeah.
just goofy. And I haven't watched any of Moon Girl, but yeah,
I haven't even heard of it.
yeah. So
My kids loved it. I was like, I'm gonna go watch more Smallville in my room.
yeah, I mean, and she's a fairly recent character to the books, probably within the past couple of years,
Yep.
right?
She's
Did
been
she show up
around
after
for
Inhumanity?
probably. She's probably been around 10 years, going on 10 years.
No way.
Like, it's got to be maybe 2014, so we're getting close to 10 years.
Okay, maybe.
2014, 2015.
Hold on, my concept of time is now really backwards. Oh God, when the heck was her first appearance? This is making for great television.
Right. Moon Girl.
Okay, first appeared Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur November 2015. Dang.
Yes, I mean, we're at 8 years. She's been around 8 years.
So that would have been.
And if you go back and you.
That would have been around the
Go ahead.
Inhumanity. That would have been around the big Inhuman story arcs.
Probably.
When they did the big Inhumanity thing and busted the Terrigen crystals up and turned it into the Cloud and all that crap with the X-Men.
Yeah. So that all happened in 2016 because I was at Hastings when that happened. Right after Hastings, because Cyclops died right after I started the store.
Okay.
From the Terrigen Mist stuff.
Yeah.
So she came out before that, but her early issue stuff, like the stuff early in her appearances, is extremely expensive. Like, if you go back and you follow some of those ratios, we're talking hundreds of dollars. So it's pretty crazy.
Well, and actually, I will save this next question for our main topic because it fits. So, all right. Did you do any hobbying or anything?
Me? No. When I was in London for Star Wars Celebration, I bought a bunch of Forge World stuff because it's 25% cheaper buying it in London, and I had it shipped to me from the Memphis store. So I looked at the box, haven't opened it.
Okay, so hold on. You went to London, you ordered Forge World, but they shipped it from Tennessee.
Yes. So the way it works is you can go to London and you pay by the pound, which is about 25% cheaper than if you buy it off the website in the US. So you buy it from London using the pound. They then convert the order to the US website.
Okay.
And then they ship it from Memphis for free to your house. But it has to be in stock in Memphis. So even if it's out of stock in London, if it's in stock in Memphis, you get the discount.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. That you just can't
so
get it for the same price from Memphis.
Price conversions on GW stuff is crazy
because of the way the pound is to the dollar, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, because I bought the Death Krieg. They had a couple of different battalion sets. I bought the Rough Riders, and in US it would have come out to $500 or $475 in US dollars. But because I bought it in using the UK site, it was only $375, something like that. It was $100 off.
Crazy.
So I bought a bunch of Death Krieg stuff.
There's new Rough Rider.
And all that stuff was out
yet. And
all of that was out of stock in London.
Huh.
Everything was in stock in the US, so
well, it's a good thing you didn't just fly to London to do that. Because that would have been expensive. You probably would not
if you were a flipper going to buy merchandise, I mean, the flight over there is not that expensive. You can fly over there for about. If I would have booked 2 months in advance, I could have flown over there for $300. So if you're going over there to buy a lot of merchandise to flip,
that's true.
It might actually be worth it because you could go buy a ton of inventory, have it shipped for free, not bring anything back with you, and probably the points that you make off your credit card for buying all the stuff will pay for your flight.
Yeah.
So, and you get to see London.
Just don't fly from Amarillo. Because then.
Yeah, don't fly from Amarillo.
So
Definitely fly from a major outlet.
So Bink Roman Stump Grab on Facebook says, "I'm driving up with Nathan Surdy. He says hi. Hi, Nathan.
Hi, Zerdy.
We just talked about
I was at
your
his
Savage Rogue just a minute ago.
Well, and today we launched Titans.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's 616,
So,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all us, but
Well, we own a third of that print run. So
yeah. It's
actually
all us.
we own more. We own more of that print run than I think 616 does because the foils were so awesome. So
Yep, the Stargirl.
Yep.
Awesome.
Starfire.
Starfire. Sorry. I don't know DC.
You should have seen the way Tanner just looked at you when you said Stargirl. He just goes,
I'll catch it on the edit.
rolled
tomorrow.
his eyes.
And I'll probably make it. I'll probably make it part of his thumbnail. I'll find it where he's just glaring at me and that'll be part of the thumbnail. So
Stargirl.
Sorry. Tanner, what have you been up to this week?
I've been watching some Warhammer Plus. They had their first Holy Age of Sigmar animation come out 2 weeks ago. Episode 2 came out this week.
Golly, it's been out for over. They've had Plus for over a year, and this is the first time Sigmar's come out on it. That's crazy.
They've had one episode of Hammer and Bolter that was Sigmar. Everything else has been 40K, but Hammer and Bolter is an anthology.
Yeah.
This show is called Black Talon. It follows Neve Black Talon as she goes and slays monsters. That's her thing.
Is she like a sister of Sigmar kind of a thing?
In Sigmar, Stormcaster co-ed.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. It does not matter.
I'm surprised they haven't done that with Marines yet.
Well, it's in the lore that it's genetically impossible. They'd have to they could retcon it.
Yeah, they can retcon whatever the crap they want. They've done it before.
But then, you have Sisters of Battle, and you have Sisters of Silence.
Yeah.
It'd just be redundant at that point.
Yeah.
But the show was really good. I would say it's the best Sigmar lore I've seen so far. I tried to read some of the early novels. I didn't dig it.
Yeah, I've had a hard time following Sigmar stuff. It just feels very disjointed.
Well, and the Warhammer Plus stuff has been good, but they try to pack so much action into their 20-minute animations that there's no character development.
There's no story. Yeah.
And I think they're slowing this one down a little bit. You get a little bit of development in it. So it was good.
Nice.
That was about it for watching stuff. I've been I painted up some Lumineth. We've been playing our one-page rules Age of Fantasy, and I needed some high elf archers, so
nice.
I got those ready to go. And our next D&D sessions this upcoming weekend. So I've been frantically planning out battle maps, printing out monster blocks, stat blocks, and figuring out traps, all that stuff.
Oh, GM prep. It's a special kind of hell. It's fun, but it's hell at the same time. Well, cool. And you're getting some of my models printed.
Yeah.
So.
Those will be ready here pretty quick, and I'll get those painted up, and then we'll have a real Age of Fantasy battle.
Proper. And then if I can ever get Chris pinned down to get his freaking vampires on the table.
Yeah.
That'd be cool too. All right. Well, for myself, what did I watch this week? I'm caught up on Mando. Watched the season finale. And it was good. I won't say much more than that because it literally just came out yesterday, so I'll let that marinate a little bit. I enjoyed it. It was an enjoyable season. I'm curious to see how it. Of course, they announced at Celebration that it's all gonna, all this stuff's gonna tie together with the bow that in a movie Filoni's gonna make.
Oh, okay.
In probably 2025 or something like that. So Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, it's all gonna kind of come to a major arc in this movie.
Like an in-theaters movie or a made-for-TV
Yes.
streaming movie?
As far as I know, they announced it like it was a theater release.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, watched that. That was pretty much it. I actually haven't watched the season finale of Picard, which that just came out today. So I didn't get a chance to watch it because normally I try to watch it at lunch on Thursday, and today was just crazy. So I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, so I may watch it either later tonight or tomorrow. Yeah.
You didn't watch the Power Rangers 30th anniversary movie?
No. Why would I do that? I didn't like Power Rangers when it was on TV the first time. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, I did. I love the Power Rangers back then.
I would watch it because it was, in that Fox Kids block of stuff, right? So, Batman animated series and all that stuff. But that was just one that, like, it would be on. I'd be doing something else while it was on, kind of thing until Animaniacs came on or something. But yeah, it never spoke to me. I tried to get into it, but it just never stuck. I started playing Warhammer Vermintide 2. I know it's somewhat older. It came out like in 2018. I picked it up and started playing it and really enjoying it. I do like those horde zombie games like Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, and that's definitely what that is. It's just rats and Nurgle instead of zombies. But it's pretty good. I'm probably gonna start once I'm done watching Picard. I'll probably start on Strange New Worlds because I've heard good things about it. And then we didn't even watch Ted Lasso this week. I just now realized we didn't watch last week's already. So I have to wait for my wife to watch that one because we watched Ted Lasso together. That and Yellowstone.
So I heard a lot of people complaining about Mandalorian this season, and especially episode 1 was super slow, and episode 2 this and that. I watched both the first 2 episodes, and I think people are just being like spoiled little brats when it comes to Mandalorian stuff.
Nitpicking.
Because the first 2 episodes were great.
Yeah.
And
there was one episode that I think is kind of a low point. And come to find out,
is that the one where they go do a story about the guy who was trying to?
Yeah, it's kind of an offshoot story, and it could have just been a couple of scenes instead of an entire episode, I think. But yeah, it wasn't bad. I like seeing the little side stories and kind of, that's one of the reasons my daughter really didn't like Andor, because Andor was very much the political side of stuff, kind of the machinations of the Empire and stuff like that. That didn't really appeal to her because it wasn't, that Star Wars grandiose action and stuff like that. But I got into it because I like those connection points. We were here. How did we get here? How did these things change? And so I didn't hate it, but like I said, I think it did kind of, it was just out of place. Let's say that. And I think that was a lot of it. But no, on the whole, like I said, without getting into any spoilers or anything, on the whole, I thought it was a good season. I liked it better, I think, than the last season.
Season 2?
No.
Huh.
Wait, hold on.
Are you talking about Book of Boba?
I'm talking about Book of Boba Fett. Because
that's basically just 2.5.
Yeah, it's Mandalorian 2.5, and I think that's why I think we're on the 4th season of Mandalorian. And we're not. Anyway, so yeah, that was pretty much my week. I built a bunk bed too.
Oh, you didn't say you built it.
Well, I mean, I IKEA built it as much as you can. So tonight, Darren chose this topic, and I have an intuition about things that. When I reached out on our group chat for a topic idea, you pretty immediately came back from this one, and judging by the tone, I think it's coming. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like it's coming from a place of professional frustration.
Yes, I have data to support it. So real quick, topic today is how.
Hold on, for audio listeners that they can't see the topic on screen. What we're talking about is how the comic book movies affect the comic book market in general. So a big example of this was Guardians of the Galaxy comes out. They're very C-list Marvel characters. The first movie comes out, it's a hit. Guardians books take off, right? probably old, and of course they start launching new series. So
No, actually, you're
I'm wrong. Don't tell me I'm
yes.
wrong. F you.
I mean, it does affect immediate sales on a new Guardians book but it gets canceled after 12 issues or
Right.
6
That's
issues.
any book now. Yeah.
Right. It drives a little bit of traffic. So dating back to like 2015 ish, Deadpool came out in what, February of 2016.
I believe so. Yeah.
So like every Marvel movie and DC movie that happened in 2015 was basically it was Ant-Man. Ant-Man came out like the summer. That was the summer movie of 2015, and then the fall movie was the DC had a fall movie, but it was not very good. I don't remember what it was, but
Was that
and
Batman
so
versus Superman?
yeah, it was terrible. So I think it was maybe that was November, December. I don't know. I don't remember when it came out.
I still never seen
It
it.
could have been Justice League too. No, Justice League was 2017.
I think it was Batman versus
Regardless, Batman versus Superman created sales. Ant-Man did not. Um, Ant-Man did not drive new readers into comic book stores to buy comic books. Everybody just went and watched. It did $100 million. I think it did like 80 million opening weekend. It didn't create uh, new followers. It didn't create new readers. But every time Avengers or X-Men or Wolverine or Iron Man, Captain America, Batman, anytime those kind of movies come out in the theaters, it creates new readers. It gets people to go from the movie theaters to a comic book store to start buying comics that have never bought comics before. But what we're finding out right now, back then it was Ant-Man, and then we got Batman, Superman, and then we had Deadpool, which just blew up. Like the comic book market became healthy again. The comic book market was in a very bad place leading up to Deadpool. Deadpool actually turned the comic book market into a positive place because people were buying anything related to Deadpool, and then once Deadpool came out, they bought anything related to Cable, and then the market picked up from there. And then I think Guardians was actually that movie was Guardians, I believe, in 2016 or 2014. I don't remember. No, that was 2014.
Yeah, I was about to
So
say.
either way,
Yeah.
Guardians was 2014 because I remember talking about it at the San Diego Comic Con with the Diamond people how I thought it was going to do $100 million opening weekend.
Yeah, it was 2014. Yeah.
But there was something 2016. Was it Avengers? Something. All I
Uh,
know is the market turned in 2016 and started getting healthier.
yeah.
Well, right now we're in basically a 2-year slump. We haven't had Avengers since 2020. 2020?
No, 2019
2019?
was Endgame. Yeah.
So, I mean, Shang-Chi doesn't really, resonate. Hey, let's go buy a bunch of Shang-Chi comics. The Eternals did nothing for the comic book market. The newest Ant-Man movie did nothing for the comic market. Doctor Strange really didn't do anything for the comic market. You got people excited about mutants for about 12 seconds. Spider-Man was probably the only movie in the last 2 years from either one of the um, big two that got anybody brand new into comics because Spider-Man was a huge movie. So the comic market is directly affected by movies. We need it for trades. We need it for launching new books. We need it for getting people into the door to start reading comic books. And I know that Disney doesn't give a shit because they're making $100 million every 10 days on a big movie. But we really need those big characters back. I think they're so focused on every obscure character that can ever be created right now that they're forgetting that the book market needs the big characters. We need the X-Men. We need Fantastic Four. We need the Avengers. And we're not getting any of that.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel
And
like
it's
I feel like the Marvel has lost its focus since the Infinity War stuff ended also. Because you're always looking for the next Stone cameo or the after credit scene to tie everything together and drive the story forward. With the multiverse stuff, it feels like it's like the stuff is just happening independently.
Yeah.
And there's
Right.
not the big drive to push the the full studio story.
So Chris and I talked about this last week, and literally our topic last week is the MCU declining just in popularity and in focus and stuff. And what I'm trying to go back to is the Infinity War arc was literally a decade-long arc.
Mm-hmm.
It took almost a decade for us to get from A to B, from the start of Iron Man in 2009 to, I mean, technically Infinity War was 2018. They just released in 2 different years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was, you know, a little less than a decade of building up that story. And if you go back and look, yes, there was those after credits things that were kind of linking them all together, but they were kind of on islands from each other until 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And 2012 was the first time when we finally had we were all waiting for the Avengers movie, right? And waiting to see them on, and that was a huge payoff, but it was, it took 4 years to get from Iron Man to Avengers, right? Well, if you don't count the pandemic as this like blip year in movies, right? Just because, nobody was going for almost 2 years, right? Well, then we're not that far away from the end of Endgame, right? Mm-hmm. To get to the next thing. So I would say pace wise, I think I feel like we've just kind of lost our patience, and all that to say is, I wonder if because the comic market is stagnating because the MCU is stagnating. And I don't know, because here's the thing is I don't know that they can do an Avengers movie with the big names without recasting.
No, but the whole point is we all know what will bring like true excitement back to the MCU. I don't know why they're dragging their feet on introducing the X-Men.
Yeah.
Because introducing the X-Men, I mean, the X-Men was a 20-year franchise, and no matter how bad the movies were, still made money.
Yeah.
Like, it's the X-Men outside of Spider-Man is probably the most popular IP that Disney owns when it comes to Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
X-Men is number 2. Let's all remember, Avengers was rejected for a $15 million movie rights. Somebody else tried to go buy it, and like, no, we don't want that. It's too expensive at $15 million. And so Marvel decided we'll just do it ourselves and did Iron Man in 2008.
Yeah.
And then Disney came in and bought after Iron Man was released. Iron Man was the one and only Disney or Marvel produced movie before Disney. Oh, Iron Man and Hulk. Both of those were both released by. Universal had ties to
Universal and Paramount distributed Iron
Man. But the whole idea is like, if you just start introducing the X-Men more than an Xavier cameo before he gets his neck broke 12 seconds into his appearance.
Spoilers.
It's been a year. It's fine. We would see a huge wave of new readers wanting to come in to the marketplace. And the Deadpool Wolverine tie-in is going to be really cool. I don't know how they're going to tie it all together to the MCU because Deadpool 3 is supposed to be an MCU movie. And we know Hugh Jackman's coming back, and we know that Xavier's coming back, and we know that Colossus is coming back. We know that all these characters from Deadpool 2 are coming back. But we really need X-Men to be introduced.
Yeah.
Because that will change the direction how the book market works.
I almost wonder because, here within the next few months, the kind of the end of Hickman's Krakoan era is coming, right? The Fall of X is happening, and pretty much the Krakoan status quo in the comic books is coming to an end. Do you wonder
So I've heard heard through the grapevine that's not happening.
Well, and maybe it's not, but maybe it's now kind of it is being changed in such a way that Feige can pick it up and make it more cohesive with the MCU, right? That maybe, when because Hickman probably started the Krakoan era before the Fox deal was a reality, right? So before the purge, because I'm sure the Krakoan age was in preparation, before all that actually went down. So it was never for sure thing that they were going to be in the MCU. So he just kind of went off on his own thing. I wonder if now the Fall of X is to kind of realign it, even if you're not going to tear the whole thing down, to realign it to something that's going to look more like Feige's vision for mutants in the MCU.
We need to get them back to the school in a way.
Maybe.
I actually think that they did Krakoa to bring the X-Men into the MCU because it gives them the perfect balance of Xavier hides all the mutants on an island.
Yeah.
Until it is time for them to actually make an appearance. Like Xavier made everybody forget about mutants, and they've all been living on this island, and maybe there's some kind of civil war on this island that's made they've had to separate, or to some extent. But I actually thought they brought Hickman in to create how the mutants are introduced into the MCU.
Yeah.
So that I thought the Krakoa was for that purpose, because it just gives them a hiding place. And I mean, I know that's what the Eternals was. They were in hiding until it was time to come out, but
yeah,
nobody cares about the Eternals.
That's the problem is like MCU has pretty much stolen all of the X-Men story beats with Inhumans and Eternals and all this stuff. Like all the other ways they could have brought the X-Men in, they've already done with other things.
What if Storm, Magneto, and Iceman terraforming Mars? They've all been living on Mars.
Yeah. So
this whole time.
Yeah. So instead of a public Krakoan age like the books has, it's a private one, right? They've just been
maybe. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. They need to introduce that stuff, because tell me, the last 3 big movies from DC: Shazam, Black Adam, and
Flash will be in a
Batman.
month.
The Batman, yeah.
The Batman, yeah.
But that's not part of the.
I mean,
the big universe.
And then James Gunn basically came and destroyed anything that's left of that universe. So Flash comes out, cool. It's just finally it's come out. We can see Michael Keaton again as Batman. Aquaman 2.
Suicide Squad. The second Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was like 2 years ago already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Maybe.
And we saw a lot of Harley drive from that movie, but it's already been 2 years since Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Like, in the Peacemaker show, which was awesome. I love the Peacemaker show. It's not going to drive comic sales. Did you come out? I mean, does DC currently have a Peacemaker comic book ongoing? No.
Yeah.
The comic book market needs TV and movies to be successful. And in being successful, we need it to tie back to the comic books so readers have something to tie to. 15 years ago, it was always, Marvel's not going to confuse the reader. When Spider-Man died from Dan Slott, I told everybody he'll be back by the time Amazing Spider-Man 1 comes out in theaters. And sure enough, 1 month before the movie came out, Spider-Man was back. Steve Rogers died. I was like, he'll be back before his next movie. Sure enough, he was back before his next movie. We don't have that anymore. We don't even know what gender our heroes are going to be by the next movie. So,
yeah. So, let me ask you this: since you've kind of been in the trenches and looking at the numbers, do Star Wars books trend the same way?
Star Wars actually drives, like, all these shows are doing pretty good on driving sales to Star Wars books. I mean, you have the official adaptation of the Mandalorian stuff now. Every time they introduce a new character, the back issues for those characters goes crazy. People start buying them. I mean, there's like 5 or 6 Star Wars series that are going on right now.
Yeah.
That's as many as any Spider-Man related. Almost as many as any X-Men related. So, I mean, Star Wars is definitely popular again.
Yeah, it's crazy that they have not brought Dr. Aphra into the actual Star Wars cinematic universe. As popular of a character as she is in the comics, that they haven't. Now they've brought some of her supporting characters in. They brought Chrysanthemum and Boba Fett.
So she would be complicated though, because she would have to come in. She was basically introduced in between what? After New Hope?
Yeah, in between New Hope.
Was B when she kind of came in, because she was very related to Vader.
Yeah, the Vader.
So you would have to, you'd have to bring her in such a way that would be relatable to that timeline if you're trying to stay to the comics.
Which, I mean, here's the thing.
So,
in the cinematic universe, we have no stories in between the original trilogy movies. We have some just before,
right?
Andor and Rogue One, and we have stuff just after Mandalorian and all this other stuff, but they haven't explored the time in between. And honestly, it's always been really vague how much time has transpired between A New Hope and Empire and Return, right? That there is space to explore, and the comics have explored it, but the cinematic universe,
Mandalorian takes place between episode 6 and 7.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Nothing's taking place between the original trilogy.
Because there's I think 7 years between Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Well, I mean, that's
at least that's the legends.
In the legends, I mean, that's the thing is there's innocuous amounts of time between A New Hope, Empire, and Empire and Return, right? And really, it's kind of innocuous between Return and Force Awakens. You kind of have an idea of how much time has passed just because of the way they've aged the characters, right?
But that's not a good factor to base it off of, just because of the way they aged the characters from Revenge of the Sith to A New Hope.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
He got gray fast.
Yeah. Well, between Obi-Wan Kenobi and when you see Obi-Wan and Rebels.
Oh, yeah.
Technically, that's not very much time in between those two story arcs, right?
So I think that'd be like the biggest retcon they'll ever go back and do, is actually making Obi not so old.
Maybe.
Because everything that plays out, like he wouldn't be as old as they made him out to be.
Yeah.
So maybe they just go through and create some new edition where Obi-Wan Kenobi looks a little bit older than he actually is. Because, I mean, he's already in his 50s in real life.
Yeah. Which,
I think he's like...
Here's the hilarious realization. The Empire, the most evil organization that the galaxy had ever seen, lasted a whole 20 years.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely nothing in terms of like Empire longevity,
And just think of this. In all reality, it probably should have taken 20 years to build the Death Star.
Yeah.
They built 3.
Yeah.
2 of them.
Yeah. Effectively.
Hey, this one looks like it's going to work. Start the next 2. Thanks.
Hold on. This one's not even done. This one's not even done yet. I don't care. Use it. Yeah. No.
You need 1. You have to have 2.
So that's what they. And here's the thing is they could then fudge. Really how. Between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, they could actually. Taffy pull that timeline out, right? So now the Empire lasted a little bit longer. More stuff happened. The growth of the characters is a lot more because that is one thing that the comics can do a lot easier than live action can do, is explore Luke and Han and Leia's story arcs in between, right? That's going to be harder to do in cinematic without just straight up recasting them, because I guarantee you they're not going to focus a series on Luke and all them doing deepfake.
Oh no,
that would just probably be very cost prohibitive. I don't know. It may be super cheap to do the deepfake stuff that they're doing now. I don't know, but
and to talk about the topic at hand about how the comics affect, or movies announcements affect the comics. They announced that new High Republic character being in the Acolytes TV show. I don't remember. It's the lady with the whip lightsaber.
Yeah, I don't know.
Val something another.
That's Chris's word.
But the second that was announced, the High Republic stuff started selling like crazy again. It affects back issues. It affects the market. Like, people start buying that stuff up. So we need more announcements.
Would you say that, like with the High Republic stuff, that maybe it affects it more when it's with a series and timeline where there's not as many back issues to have to go back and collect than something that has just a ton of stuff that you could go back and try and collect?
The problem with Star Wars in general is you have two worlds of canon, I guess you would say. You have the Dark Horse era, and then Marvel completely...
There's the Disney canon, there's Legends, which is Dark Horse and Del Rey books. And
all the books and all, yeah. So you have these two universes, so you don't actually ever know what to collect, but there is like huge boost in numbers for sales of Dark Horse comics. You couldn't give that crap away 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone brought in a Dark Horse collection, you're like, I'll give you $20 for the whole box. Now you're actually looking through it, and there's books in there that are worth 100, 200. Versus Ahsoka, Clone Wars is worth a bunch.
Yeah.
But
well,
even with like
especially once they start bringing a lot of these Legends characters back into Disney canon, stuff like bringing Thrawn back in, and when they bring well, no, that would spoil Mandalorian, so I'm gonna shut up now. But yeah, when they start bringing in all these Legends characters that were cut off from the canon, and they start bringing them in, I can definitely see that stuff going up.
I do appreciate the fact that Star Wars is doing a very good job about relating back to book sales. I just wish DC and Marvel would take a page out of that and not forget what we need. We need the big three in the Avengers. We need X-Men. I mean, when was the last legitimate X-Men? When was Logan released?
Well, we had Dark Phoenix after that.
Was it after or before?
That was after Logan.
Okay. Yeah. When was that? 2019?
It was. They were pretty close to
2018.
Logan was. I don't care about Logan Paul. Logan was 2017. And Dark Phoenix was 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
So we're going on 4 years since
That's
the
right,
last
because,
X-Men related.
Sorry, technically New Mutants, but that kind of got broke away from everything. But because I remember Dark Phoenix got announced, or Dark Phoenix came out right after the Fox sale got confirmed. So everybody went into Dark Phoenix like, are they going to seed anything, into this? And of course they didn't. But yeah.
So they just changed the whole story because it was too much like Captain Marvel's story.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So if anybody ever watches our little podcast and hears me say what will help the book market today is give us major characters that we can sell books on. It will help us a bunch.
Yeah. So, okay. Captain America, Iron Man, Thor. Do you pay the
Thor?
Not Thor. If you're Disney, do you pay out the wahoo to get those actors back, or do you just go ahead and recast?
I think Chris Evans is coming back to begin with. That's why I don't think they killed his character. I think he's coming back.
I don't see where he's dead. In anything,
he's not. I don't know why. Like we talked about this.
Yeah, like, talking to Winter Soldier set up.
Just go play chess with him.
Like, I don't.
Why didn't Bucky just be like, "Hey"? Yeah.
It's he went to the near Death Star from Futurama.
I mean, maybe he's in the memory ward at a home or something, and to them, he's effectively. I don't know.
He tells all these crazy stories, and people just think he has Alzheimer's. But he's.
I went to this planet and I saw this man with a red skull. Yeah.
But they have this whole thing where they can go back and Crazy Steve. But they could go back and do a Captain America movie on what happened when he took all the shit back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or he could be Nomad.
Yeah.
When he's, after he gave up being Captain America, he still saves the world with Haley Atwell, Agent Carter. Like they go and save the world still. on little missions all the time. I mean, they could go do a whole nother franchise
Yeah, going back and fighting.
where he doesn't have
Hydra.
to surrender his whole life for a decade. But
Yeah.
I think Chris Evans is not done. I think he'll be back in some form or fashion. Robert Downey Jr., I mean, who's to say he didn't download his brain to some machine and they don't bring him back? Just they give him $75 million to kill him again. I don't know, but
yeah. I mean, I wonder how.
I know Riri Williams is not going to be the equivalent of Iron Man.
Right.
I mean,
that didn't even work out in the books, really. So
no.
I mean, and the books have tried this, right? They've tried making the next generation of all these characters, and it falls flat, right?
Right. You always end up bringing back the old character to make up for slumping book sales.
Comic book fans have Franklin Richards syndrome. They don't want the world to change.
Yeah.
They just want the same stories. It's frustrating, right? Because you can only tell so many stories with those characters. It doesn't make sense to want to stay with the same characters the whole time. But comics are comfort food.
Let me ask this, though. How many legitimate stories did we get with Captain America?
1, 2. Let's see. 4 Avengers movies, 3 Captain America movies.
So 7.
And then technically Falcon and Winter Soldier is a continuation of his story in a tangential way. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say roughly 8.5.
Yeah.
And how long has Captain America been around?
Oh yeah, like decades.
42 or 46.
Yeah, but how many Captain?
He was created in 1940.
Right. Okay.
So he's been around for 83 years.
Right.
So we've had 8 stories of Captain America, which actually only 3 of which are Captain America stories because they were about his movies.
Yeah.
One of which wasn't even his movie; it was the Civil War movie. So he's only had 2 movies. We only had 2 Captain America stories.
So let me posit this about Captain America though. From a book perspective, what were Captain America's biggest story arcs?
He punched Hitler.
That's the thing. Like I can go back and I can tell you about Extinction Agenda, and I can tell you about Fatal Attractions and the Dark Phoenix saga. I can tell you about all these big X-Men arcs. I could not tell you big Captain America.
One time, Dr. Zola traps him in a alternate dimension with a kid, and he has to fight his way out.
Other than him becoming like recent stuff, like him becoming Old Steve, Secret Empire, but those are recent. Like prior to the Avengers movies, prior to the MCU era, I could not tell you any major Captain America arcs.
Well, I do wonder.
Well, because you're not a cap.
I do wonder if part of that is because even with some of the older DC characters, these Golden Age heroes come from a culture of the whole story is told in one issue, and it's almost a slapstick.
That's true.
Beat the villain at the end of the issue, and so they don't come from a history of drawing out story arcs.
Right. Yeah, the big crossovers and stuff that the X-Men did, that was something that was very unique to them at the time, right? You didn't have those big overarching, you might have had team up books and stuff like that. No, that is true that they didn't have these big arcs, but like I said, I mean, I'll posit to say before the MCU, it's just like what you said. The Avengers prior to the MCU, they were never A-list.
Mm-hmm.
Except the Hulk.
They were a throwaway, every single one of them.
Yeah.
But the Hulk's never really an Avenger.
Yeah.
Like, he's an Avenger for 4 issues when the book first started. Yeah. And then he leaves in issue 5 after Captain America joins. He either leaves in issue 5 or issue 6. So he lasts 5 issues and leaves and goes off to be a brute. Iron Man. I mean, Iron Man has had 500 plus comics. Same thing. Demon in the Bottle, Armor Wars.
Armor Wars, yeah.
That's about it. That's about all I know for Iron Man. Then you have let's move over to DC. Superman.
Yeah. Death of Superman.
Death of Superman. Maybe when he turned to electricity just because it was so idiotic. I mean, Tanner is a Superman guy, so he's going to know. New 52, where Wonder Woman and Superman are dating.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Superman stuff is Justice League stuff.
Right.
That's where Captain
Well, that's the same thing
America
as.
falls.
Yeah, Captain America is the leader of the Avengers.
Yeah.
So all of his stories come in the Avengers. But tell me, outside of X-Men crossovers with the Avengers, tell me 5 storylines that relate back to the Avengers. You had Infinity Gauntlet, which was all in. Right. Not space related or all universe encompassing, not Secret Wars, because that also brought in mutants and everything else. Like, tell me 5 storylines that are Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
Pre-Wars. I can think of.
Yeah,
it's still space.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: the Avengers are popular now. It's just like what you said. The Avengers are popular now because of the MCU.
Right.
Other than Captain America and Iron Man were always just cool images for the wall because they were iconic Marvel characters. But it's just like people getting Superman tattoos. Tell me a Superman book story. They probably can't.
Right.
Punisher.
No, they don't. They don't read. Yeah, they don't read those comics. It's the idea of them.
The iconography.
X-Men. We all know Age of Apocalypse. We know Executioner songs, and we know just tons and tons of storylines. The Phalanx Covenant. I mean, we're X-Men fans, so
yeah, I would say that's
of course we know those things.
I would probably say the only arcs that probably resonate with non-X-Men fans, Dark Phoenix Saga is probably the one that's probably the most well known.
I think Age of Apocalypse resonates pretty big because I think a lot of people collected that back in the day.
Yeah, with comic fans, I would say for lay people though that aren't even book fans, they probably don't even know what Age of Apocalypse is.
They don't even know what Dark Phoenix. Well, outside of 2 terrible movies, they know what Dark Phoenix is.
Yeah, they just know characters. So, yeah, they know who Wolverine is. They know who Magneto is.
But we also had a great cartoon back in the 90s. We also have Wolverine and the X-Men. We had X-Men Evolutions. There's consistently been a cartoon about every decade that gave us something to get excited about X-Men.
Yeah.
Avengers, 1 season, done. 2 seasons maybe every 15 years.
Yeah.
Batman's had 2 really good cartoons, one in the 90s and then Batman Beyond. And Superman, not really. It's never really had that good cartoon. I mean, there was a good Justice League cartoon, but honestly, I think
animated series that's the same style and everything as Batman the animated series, but no one knows
just
about
brighter. It. Yeah.
But I think Teen Titans, honestly, is the most well-known franchise. It's not Batman in the entire DC universe because Teen Titans Go, HBO Max Titans. I think there's another Titans cartoon. So
Young Titans, Young Justice.
Young Justice, yeah.
Then there's the Infant Titans, the Preemie Titans.
Well, this new Titans series is supposed to replace the Justice League. Like, they are the new Justice League. The one that we just launched tonight. Like, that's supposed to be the new big revamp. That's the new Justice League.
So do you think DC is going to kind of follow the Marvel path of trying to steer the books closer to the cinematic universes? Now that I guess guns, and I guess maybe time will tell. They'll have to see how successful the Gunverse is. But do you see DC going ahead and steering all their book plot lines to match up the way Marvel does?
I can already see them doing it because they're going to do a bunch of Batman movies that are all their own thing and then randomly do movies here and there just to see if it sticks.
Well, and I also think that Gunn actually cares about comics because his in-depth knowledge of the Guardians of the Galaxy universe tells me that he actually cares about the comic world. So yes, I think that there will be more alignment with the universe.
Yeah.
And with him starting fresh, we'll get a new Superman movie. We'll get a new Batman movie. This new Joker movie with Joker 2 looks terrible in every way. Like, I've only seen the first one once. It was okay. Not worth watching twice.
Yeah, you
But,
definitely,
like,
that was just a rough movie. Period.
it was just so sad.
It's just,
It got sad, and then sadder, and then oh my god, it got even worse.
yeah.
Like
it just-
there was no redeeming quality to that movie. But
Agreed.
I guess we'll see. But
Yep.
it is based on the Suicide Squad 2 and Peacemaker. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt that it'll be good.
Well, I guess we'll know when we see DC book sales that aren't Batman trending up. So,
Right.
Which has kind of always been, it's always been kind of DC's thing. There's Batman and there's everything else. Well, thank you so much for joining us for episode 77 of the Unknown Comics podcast. Tanner and Darren, thank you so much for joining me as we went down this road. If you are watching us after the fact on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, if you'd like to catch us live and join in the conversation, we do this show live most Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So you can join the chats there and talk to us. Or you can just watch us on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. Darren, for the audio listeners, is holding Grimlock up to the camera, trying to intimidate us with a robot dinosaur. Me, Grimlock. You, Darren. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week with the Unknown Comics podcast. Bye.
Bye.